Jim, what got you interested in Oliver?
When I grew up, we had Oliver tractors. That's what we farmed with. That's what we had. And so the first tractor I drove was an Oliver, and so that kind of just stayed with me. Later on, then when Oliver switched to white, we switched to John Deere, but we always had a couple Olivers there, and we always used them. And so we started collecting that way.
Okay, what was your first Oliver?
The first Oliver I drove was a 77. The first tractor I restored was a 60 on steel wheels.
Okay, did you drive the steel wheels?
Just around the yard a little bit, not a whole lot.
I know those things are really bone-jerking tractors and wheels, whatever they're on. Now, why would you say it's important to establish a club like this? And I know you have a strong representation around the country, but why do you want to have such a strong Oliver club?
Well, the mission statement of the club is to preserve the history of Oliver and Hart-Parr, and it's something that this is a way of doing it, keeping people reminded, preserving the tractor, preserving the history, and just trying to keep the legacy of Oliver going.
I know many have said we're losing a lot of the older generation, and a lot with that goes a lot of the knowledge that probably will never be recovered again, and the only way to do that is to train our youth and show them examples with tractors that you've got here. Now, one more thing, Jim. Your headquarters is up in this red building up here where you have things for sale. Is that correct?
That's correct. We have all the charter or the chapters are there. Not all of them, but a lot of the chapters are in that building. They have things to sell, T-shirts, plaques, and that sort of thing. So some of the chapters are represented up in that steamer shed up there.
Okay, and that shed is directly north of the bathhouse, right north of the gazebo. Well, we're talking with Mr. Jim Dick, who is the president of the Oliver Collectors Club, and our featured tractor parade is going to be starting at 10:30, right? Now, what is your most significant Oliver in this parade?
You cannot name just one. They're all significant, yes.
Okay, and I noticed you have a few high crops, and you have a couple of cockshut, which they're really neat tractors, but they look identical to an Oliver, only they're different color.
Yeah, the Cockshot Company was kind of a fledgling company when they started. They made plows in Canada, and they were looking for a tractor. And so early on, they got Oliver plant in Charles City to produce tractors for them. And then about, I'm not sure the years, probably in the mid-40s, Cockshot started producing their own tractors, and they did that for a while. And then later on, they came back and bought tractors from Charles City again, Oliver tractors, with the Cockshot spears on them. And from what I understand is the tractors could be shipped across the border as long as they didn't have the decals and the tires on them. And so if the Canadian government would allow those Cockshot to put the tires and the decals on them in Canada, and they were considered Canadian tractors.
Okay. So how did White enter into the picture?
White bought Oliver in 1960 or 61, and Dave just kept them as White was kind of a background, silent owner of Oliver, and they didn't start putting their names on the tractors until the early 70s, and then eventually they became White tractors.
Okay, well, we've got some interesting information here, and if you have any questions, you can go up to the Oliver shed just north of the bathhouse, and I'm sure if they have a question that nobody can answer, you guys could probably take care of that for them, correct?
We'll find somebody. Yeah.
Okay, all right, this is Mr. Jim Dick, and he's with our featured parade. Okay, next year's Oliver program. Tell us a little bit about that, would you, Jim?
Well, every year the National gets hosted at a different spot, and next year it's going to be in Albert City, Iowa. And I'm sure that the people there would like to have everyone that's at this show come over to their show. And it's hosted by the Corn Belt Collectors there. And so we'd love to see you all come back to Iowa next year for the national show there.
Okay, yeah, Albert City is not that far away. And it's just southeast of here in Iowa. That's where I'm from. You know, a lot of people give me kidding about that one, and I have the key word is from. From, yes. Okay, our featured parade is going to be at 10:30, and it's the Hart-Parr Tractor Parade. Thanks, Jim.
You're welcome.
During the day,
feature tractor parade, which involves this year the Oliver tractors. The next parade we have does not involve the Oliver tractors. You guys are registered to go through the feature tractor parade. The other parade is for the benefit of the folks that have brought other irons, other colors. So if you're going, got an Oliver or Oliver related, please go in the Oliver parade with it and allow the rest of the tractors to have their part in the giant machinery parade, which is later in the day. Every parade, we'd ask you to remove your hats, face the flag, and Kelly Wallman will do the national anthem for us so we can appreciate where we are and where we live.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Starting down the parade route, we've got the parade marshal, Galen Crosby. He's riding in a car he built himself 50 years ago. He's attended all 52 years. He's very active in Prairie Village, doing all the tractor registration. Currently, he's got four generations doing the tractor registration. He served on the board of directors of Prairie Village 3 times, given countless hours, years, and dedication to making Prairie Village what it is today. As we said earlier, he also wishes to thank Leland Johnson, Penny Steinberg, Roger and Rick Olson, Jerry Krill, family members and friends for all their help and faithfulness through the years. Oh, there it goes.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Dwayne Starr, and I have Bill Minker with me here this morning. We've both been officers and board of directors on the National Hart-Parr Collectors Association. We want to thank the Prairie Village for inviting us here to do our annual summer show. And want to just remind you that next year we'll be over in Elbert City, Iowa, so for the 2015 show. So we got the first tractor coming down here, and it's Mr. Jim Jett. He is the honorary chairman or the president of the chapter here in South Dakota, the Great Plains chapter. That's a really nice 1850 mechanical pump fire tractor, built in 1964. That's a 1950 with a four-cylinder Detroit engine, 453 engine. You always tell one of them the two air cleaners on the hood mounted up here in front of the head. This is Carl Tesh from Watertown, South Dakota. Very nice tractor. Thank you for bringing it.
Next year we got a 1967 Oliver 1650 diesel. The tractor is purchased new by Dennis Tesh. Deceased. It's still used on the same farm. Carl Tesh, Watertown, South Dakota. It's like got a real heavy-duty loader on, clamp there to snag onto the bale and stuff. Real nice outfit.
Next tractor we got coming up is a model 1900. These tractors, 1900 and 1800, were built in 3 series. This is a Model A series, the original series. The tractor was built in 1961, owned by Carl Tesh of Watertown. He said he purchased this tractor down in Oklahoma in 2009. He said the engine was overhauled by the late area Texas Valley of Watertown. Thank you for bringing a very nice tractor.
Alright, next we got a Oliver 1650 with a 1610 loader owned by Wayne Hauer of Summit, South Dakota. It's totally rebuilt by the owner. This 1610 loader, I believe they were built by Swartz, isn't that right, Dwayne? And they were very universal, put on a lot of different models of tractors. Swartz actually sold them in the red color. Minneapolis Moline had their very gold color, the Oliver and the green, but very universal loaders, been on a lot of different tractors. A world of those tractors out there, a world of those loaders.
Next tractor we have is a Model 2150. This is the biggest of the 50 series which we're featuring here. But we went from the 1250 off to the 2150. This tractor is owned by Don Revere over at Marion, South Dakota. And I believe this tractor will be on an auction coming up here in a couple of weeks. We'll let Don say.
Okay, here we got a 1965 HOCA 1850 LD Wheatland owned by Jim Lippert of Danube and a soda driver, Ken Lippert. It's unusual to say LD propane. It's a Wheatland style. Again, those tractors were made by Oliver for HOCA up into the Canadian market. Very rare tractor.
We need the EMP down by the Oliver tent west of the social hall. A guy had a little incident. We need an EMP down by the social hall.
Next tractor here is from Elmer, Minnesota. Kevin rode through the parade 10 years ago, and now he's the driver. So this is a front wheel assist tractor. Nice to have you with us.
Now, here we've got, we don't have a name with it here, but it's a 1950 Oliver GM engine and competitive fuel tank. It's like an original tractor. Thanks for bringing it down. Nice like an original tractor.
Hart-Parr over in Worthington, Minnesota. 1850 LP gas tractor. Oliver was not real big in the LP business. This tractor was built in 1966. It's a standard model with the LP tank on it. I don't know where Arnold got his tractor up, but I'm sure he took a little time for it.
And here we've got a 1965 Oliver 1550 diesel road crop owned by Virgil Meyer of Humboldt, South Dakota, showing both the American and South Dakota flag. A lot of 1550s around, not a lot of 1550 diesel, so nice tractor to have out here.
Next we have a 1650 road crop diesel built in 1965. This is Virgil Meyer's tractor from Humboldt. Looks like the tractor has an early 1650 diesel engine in it. Looks like it's in its original workflow. It's served pretty well over the years.
We got a 1965 1650 Oliver owned by Jim Palin of Randolph, Nebraska. Got the front end weights on there. He's ready for a heavy load with the rear end. A nice original Oliver umbrella. I remember when I was a kid, we had those umbrellas on the tractors. That really helped out cool the day off on a hot day.
Next tractor is Mr. Larry Palin from Sanborn, Iowa. A 1650 diesel tractor. He said this tractor
tractor. They just keep it rolling.
Well, this one here must have a lot of horsepower. It's got a big chrome stack on it. This is Mr. Gary Copperstone over at Gaynell, South Dakota. 1750 gas tractor. A little bit unusual. Most of those models that were sold, at least in this part of the world, were diesel engine tractors. This one is a gas. Very nice tractor. So Gary works really hard with our chapter here up in Prairie too.
Got a 1965 Oliver 1650 Wheatland owned by Jim Norland of Deslack, North Dakota. He's the second owner, restored by Jim and his son. Now, if you notice, it's got the, like I said, the Wheatland front axle, solid tread, fixed front axle. In the Wheatland country, they didn't need to adjust those axles like we did in the HOCA country. And also, the Wheatland tractors, most of them do not have a 3-point hitch added on them. Just heavy drawbar work.
We got a red tractor coming up here, built in the Charles City plant over in Iowa. This is Kurt Norman from Minot, North Dakota. 1650 Cup set, built 1966. And it has a PTO-driven belt pulley that's on the back of it. Because that's the way they were set up. The tractor obviously was built for the Canadian market in red. And this is the same tractor except for the details and such things. This is the way they did it in that period of time.
Got a 1969 Oliver 1950T owned by Darrell DeBoer of Corsica, South Dakota. Totally restored in 1913 from a non-running tractor to a good machine to work today. That's a 1950T. That was a turbocharged Waukesha engine.
What's the difference between the two? The 1950T has an inline 6-cylinder engine, also a turbocharged. And we've got a 1950 Cup set coming behind it with a Detroit engine in it with the 2 air cleaners mounted across the front of the head. Look at this nice red tractor here. John Adams, Fortuna, North Dakota, way out there in the northwest corner of the state. It's a very rare tractor. It's a hydraulically powered front axle. It has a pump that's driven off the front of the crankshaft underneath that white cover on the front. Railing the right axle on the front of it. I think he's probably got the transmission in neutral now, just going with that front axle. So nice demonstration.
Okay, here we've got a 1950 mechanical front wheel drive. Oliver owned by Steve Grossom, Corsica, South Dakota. Family tractor owned by the late Merle Grossom. That was father of Steve. And this is like a Wheatland tractor. I always like these with the dust shields on the front. The right has a solid, I don't believe it hinge, but the left one would hinge so you can crawl up into it. And it, again, keep the dust down and get spin the fuel tanks. I just thought those Wheatland dust shields are real neat.
Larry restored this tractor in 2013, so it's a nice fresh restoration, nice shiny paint on it, nice shiny hood. Thanks, Larry, for bringing the tractor.
Oh, here we've got something real rare again. 1969 1650 Oliver Ferguson Packer owned by Galen Samuelson, Wakefield, Nebraska. That was a 1650 engine over axle. That's not what they call them, Dwayne, that they would take that engine, axle, and everything and put it. Ferguson company, I believe, was in Texas, and they buy these engine over axle power units, put them on, and make a roller or other applications they could use it for. I think he has the reverser torque in that, where you can just use the lever one way, goes forward, moves the other way, goes backwards. There's no clutching, so with hacking it would be real convenient. So we've got one of them, the 770 Oliver.
Next we have a tractor from down in Lincoln, Nebraska area, Mr. John Sokovich, a 1250 Hart-Parr. Now this tractor was built in Italy originally and brought into the country. It was made by a Fiat company over there in Italy. There's only 8 of these known to exist in the Hart-Parr version. And so John digs around and really finds unusual tractors Thank you for bringing it, John.
Like here, we've got a name to it here, a 1250 cockshut Hycroft, a 1966, again owned by John Zykovich Lincoln. Made by Fiat, the only Hycroft cockshut known. So that makes a real nice pair of tractors together.
And that's just Judy driving the cockshut, by the way. Next we have some Missouri tractors here that came up all the way from south of Kansas City. The first one we have here is a 2150 mechanical front-wheel drive tractor. It has the big 478 inline Hercules engine in it. This is Mitch Contact here from Drexel, Missouri. Right down there in south of Kansas City. I think that's quite a haul to bring that tractor up here. They always bring nice tractors.
Got a 1969 150 all over here, you know, with Daryl Poindexter, Drexel, Missouri. And I believe they had several tractors that showed down at Flat City last year. And like Wayne said, some real nice tractors. And pretty much it's the same, only it's just two-wheel drive rather than four-wheel drive. Very nice.
The red tractor coming up here is a real unusual. It's a model 1865 Oliver, built 1971. This was originally a Minneapolis Moline G950 tractor, which is LP powered, and a lot of Minneapolis Moline tractors were. A passion is white, it's an Oliver 1865. Again, one of the Poindexter tractors down there in Drexel, Missouri. They bought us three really nice tractors.
Oh, here we've got the oldest tractor we've got around here. 1912 3060 Hart-Parr owned by Paul and Mary Jo Johnson, South Dakota. These were very successful, big old prairie plowing tractors and threshing tractors and stuff. Imagine. Nice precision tractors.
South Dakota. Got all the side dirt and everything on it just like we should have. Very nice tractor.
Got a 1955 Oliver Super 55 tractor owned by Gary Pank in Trent, South Dakota. These tractors came out in late 1954. They were kind of the match for the little Ford tractors, except these had live power takeoff, live 3-point hitch, 6-speed transmission, very durable, whether it was a utility tractor or whether they put a loader on. Very good tractor.
Another Gary Pank tractor here, the 77 Oliver. Gary comes from up there, like I said, in Frank, South Dakota. Nice, very nice tractor. Nice, smooth, running 6-cylinder engine in old 77. Made him really a popular tractor in their day.
Got a 1958 770 Oliver, also owned by Gary Pank. This is the 770. First was the 77, then the Super 77, then came the 770s, all in the same family of tractors.
Another Gary Pank tractor, a Super 77 diesel. Of course, when we went to the Super Series, we went to the open engine side covers that were completely covered as they were before. Another Gary Pank tractor up again. Says this tractor has been in the family for 50 plus years. So these guys are really, really all the support in all our family.
And here we got an OC3 Oliver Crawler owned by Jim Brown of Lake Preston, South Dakota. Nice little crawler.
Got a nice little 60 Oliver, built 1946. This is Don Jensen from Monroe or Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Little 60 was very durable little tractor, very reliable, and a very good product for all of us.
We got a 1951 Oliver 66 Rowcroft. It's got adjustable white front end owned by John Thalen of Randolph, Nebraska. Factory 3-point hitch. I believe that was what they called the heavy-duty Hydra hitch that they could put onto those tractors. And it actually came out on the little bit later series tractors that could be retrofitted back to those real good 3-point hitch.
Another John Thalen tractor, 99, the big boy of the Oliver line of tractors. This tractor would have been built in South Bend, Indiana. It's another one of John Thalen's tractors from down there in Randolph, Nebraska.
Yeah, we got another 770 Oliver owned by Jim and Bonnie Litterick of Howard, South Dakota. Elmwood Schwader bought new and stayed in the family tractor. Nick Litterick is a fourth generation to drive this machine. Real nice 770 adjustable white front end. Looks like we got a good driver there. He's got everything under control. Keep up the good work.
Nice little Super 55 Oliver, built 1956. This is Jim Little from Silver Lake, Kansas. He says it's a bareback tractor, does not have power steering, does not have three-point hitch. It's previously owned by the state of South Dakota, so I imagine this tractor was used for utility rack, perhaps for mower work.
We got a 1954 Oliver Super 77 diesel owned by Dan and Martin Strickler of Park Rapids, Minnesota. Goes on the 2012 old iron calendar for October. I mean, quite a few Super 77s on lot of them in the diesel. As you can see, that's one of the later models with the battery core, the big battery top cover over there with holes on the 4 screws instead of the small but the labeling.
1966 Oliver was built 1950. This is another tractor from Don and Margaret Stickler over at Park Rapids, Minnesota. Adjustable white front axle on them. There wasn't a whole lot of those around in their day, but they've become very collectible. Just to go sail and try to buy one of them white front axles.
Right here's a 1952 Oliver 77 owned by Doug Cole of Ward, South Dakota, used frequently on the farm. Nice tractor.
A 1465 Oliver tractor from 1974. This is a 65 series with the last of the Fiat-built tractors that Oliver marketed. They were very, very reliable. They were very, very popular in California. This one comes to us from the Anderson family in Lake Crystal, Minnesota, and it's a 72 horsepower tractor, so it's a pretty good sized unit.
We got a 1975 Oliver 1365 from the Anderson family in Lake Crystal. Imported from Fiat, and it's a 56 horsepower utility tractor. So that makes a nice pair of tractors along there. They're rare tractors, nice pair to go together.
1966 Oliver has got wagon duty today, built 1951. Vernon says that he restored this tractor over 20 years ago and he did it himself. This is Vernon Halverson from Garrison, South Dakota. So I guess he's going to go out and pick some corn this afternoon the way it looks.
Next we got a 1950 Oliver Super 55, a propane tractor, owned by Lewis and Marlon Barrett, Danneberg, North Nebraska. And you can see that's an LP gas tractor. Got the flags on the front there. Doing a nice job driving there, young man. Keep it up.
Well, you got to pull the throttle down, let it bark a little bit. This again is the big boy of the Oliver production, built in South Bend in plant number 2 that we call it. It's 1951-99 Oliver, owned by Lewis and Marlis Bart down at Danneberg, Nebraska, down there in the Grand Island, northwest Grand Island area. So thank you for hauling all the way up here to South Dakota.
Here we got coming up a 77 Roadhop Oliver, owned by Jack Orwig of Michigan. Tractor's been the family since 1956. Adjustable white front end tractor. I believe it's pulling a nice 2-bottom plow behind it. I believe in that era the 77 was the top selling tractor, about 66 and 88. I would have thought maybe 88, but whatever it is, the 77 is a very, very popular tractor for a work tractor at that time. Looks like he's already go out and plow. He's got hydraulic plows, so he'll have to use the trim lever. Ready to roll. Thank you.
You know, it's kind of unusual that many of these 77s survive because they get lifetime takeoff on them. All of them things wound up in the peak business, you know, pulling peak wagons. They just plumb wore them out. I mean, they kept driving them until they wouldn't hardly move again. So nice to see. Nice to see them that many around. Next up, we have a Roadcroft 66 built 1951. This is Walter and Mariana Berluski's tractor from Washington Springs, South Dakota. Looks like a nice tractor. Again, nice to have these tractors survive as long as they do.
Hey, we've got a 1952 Oliver 77 Standard. Looks like that's a diesel tractor from Nathan and Don Radson of Spicer, Minnesota. A nicely restored tractor. He had as many 77s as they made. There wasn't a lot that made the diesel version. They weren't that big. A lot of people thought they could avoid the diesel and just go with the gas. Very nice, nice running engines. I just love those Oliver diesels. I just listen to those things all day long. Actually, a lot of times I have listened to them all day long on the season.
Nice little 60 Oliver here that was built in 1942. This is Brandon Steinberg from over in Colton, South Dakota. Now, I think a lot of you around here know the original owner of this tractor. This is Grandpa Ken's tractor. Originally, the tractor was a family tractor that had been used in the family, and it kind of looks like from reading the card that Brandon was given this tractor by Grandpa Ken. So, hope you enjoy it.
Next, we got a 1951 Oliver 77 owned by Lance Sandra Steinberger, Crook, South Dakota. Looks like he does just a little bit of pulling on that thing, and I'll bet when you wind it up, it's got some noise to it too. So they make that, you know, it's surprising how you can take some of these old tractors like that, that's maybe a 30 horsepower tractor, and wind them up to 2 or 3 times that much power. And some of the ones they put the hot rod engines in, it just, you cannot believe that engine and transmission that was made for 30-some horsepower can stand, you know, well over 100 plus, maybe more than that when they put the big engine souped up into them. So it just shows how rugged they were built.
This is Paul Lano from over Norwood, Minnesota, with a 2150 mechanical front drive tractor. Very nicely restored tractor. These 2150s in the four-wheel drive was built in 2 versions. They were built in the standard version. If you look at the rear wheel of the tractor, you see it has a standard axle, and that's the heavy-duty version, one that had the planetary rear end in it. So there was actually 2 versions of the tractor. Very nice tractor, nice old white one.
Yeah, we got a 1968 Oliver 2150 over Ron Engelman of Plato, Minnesota. Dwayne was talking about rear axles on tractors and stuff. This has got the extra set of hubs on there, so you can bolt a full wheel type hub onto them instead of bolting putting the clamp on dual onto them. And again, those flat front weights, I believe those weights weighed 165 pounds if I remember right. Some of the other tractors, you know, the stack weights, these, you can put those on the front of the base stack weight for extra difficult to right tractor. Those weights for a challenge getting on and off, we'll say that.
That's what you had the grandson done. He's got a stronger back than you do. But they actually have a Super 88 diesel high-crop tractor here. So this is the tractor that would have been in the vegetable areas, probably down in Louisiana, maybe Keene or in that area. It's just a version of the tractor where they put extended front axles on it, props on the rear. The rear wheels are driven by a lower chain. That's got to belong to Richard Engelman from Green Isle, Minnesota. That was sold here in southwest Minnesota. I'm rather surprised that I thought tractor was sold in the state of Minnesota.
Down here we got something a little different again. A 1959 880 Oliver in the mist green. It's a diesel tractor owned by Rich and Al Engelman, Green Isle, Minnesota, driven by Jamie Engelman, and the old one of 70 built as a diesel. And they built very few of those. Dwayne can tell you a little more on that mist green. I'll just let him take over here.
The 770 and 80 series of tractors come out. The company wanted to distinguish the higher horsepower Model 88 from the lower horsepower Model 770. So they decided to paint them a little bit different color green, which I call that mist green as you see here. They built about 1,300 of them totally in gas and diesel versions. And then the labor union in the plant in Charles City went on strike. And so the plant was shut down, and all the customers and the dealers were calling the plant and telling them they hated that new green color. And so they never built any more of them after that. So there are very few of those mist green tractors still around. Okay. We have an 88 row crop here. Named Priceless. I don't know. What do you guys think about that paint job? I think somebody got the wrong can of paint when they painted that tractor. It looks very nice. It's a tractor from Green Isle, Minnesota, and it's a nice spring front. I think they do a little bit of pulling with that tractor, if I remember right. So
So here we got a 1955 Oliver Super 55 owned by Rich and Al Ingham in Green Isle, Minnesota. Nice little tractor again. So like I say, these tractors are just rugged as can be when they came out. In fact, at home we still got two of them we use on the fence row sprayers and stuff like that. So the tractor's almost a full operator when I get the sprayers in the nose there anyway. It's still real reliable. I bought one up out of weed, called it in the tractor, brought it home, put a battery in and started, used it all the time.
It's a really nice little Oliver Super 44. This is an offset tractor. You can see the engine and driveline offset to the left side. Most of these have a one-roll cultivator on them. This again is Al and the Ringer's one in Green Isle, Minnesota. So this tractor again would have been built in South Bend, plant number 2 when they built them. These tractors were built there, and most of them wound up in the cotton and in the tobacco countries down in Kentucky, Louisiana, down in that part of the world.
We've got a 1981-1855 white yard tractor owned by D.W. Dunahack in Mission Hill, South Dakota. Nice little yard tractor, rear was off now. Got 3-point hitch on, looks like you got the brackets underneath there to mount and lift the front mount attachments. So, yeah, probably a pretty rugged little tractor when it was built.
Next year was 1836 Hart-Parr, built 1928. This one here, again, it's an original working clothes. You know, the big corporations today, they build them big buildings, and they build them out of cork-in steel and let them rust. They have to paint them. So I think that Dr. Farms here, Martin said, hey, we're just going to leave this thing in its natural working clothes. We're not going to spend a whole bunch of money on that all over thing.
Oh, here we got another older one again, a 1935-1827 Oliver Hart-Parr owned by Dale Stepp in White Lake, South Dakota. That tractor probably would have had to come out on steel and converted with the rubber rims on. It's got nice big full fenders on it. The 1827 to 18 horsepower on the drawbar, 27 horsepower on the belt. And I don't know, maybe they're just a real neat looking tractor. And after that, they did a few changes on them. Bigger gas tank, bigger radiator, and they 80s out of them. That's basically the early 80s. It derived from the early 1827 standard road crop with a single front wheel that they built in 1930.
Okay, we've got a Super 88 here. We've got the fleet line. Sorry, we're having a problem with our communications here from our people, but it's an 88 tractor with a standard front axle. Sorry, we don't have the identification on the owner of that tractor.
Looks like we've got a 1836 again here. We haven't got the correct information on it. 1929. What's the Shearer's tractor? Nicely restored tractor, not just like those old engines that go up slow RPM and they just keep rolling and pulling.
Here we got a nice little Hopper 70 standard here out of Brookings, South Dakota. Looks like we've taken care of the mosquitoes for the day. Just a little bit of oil there, when we were set to go, and then a Continental 6-cylinder engine in it. Pretty nice little tractor, interesting little tractor, light one to haul down the show.
We got a 1946 Oliver 70 owned by Kenny Stoll of Canola, South Dakota. Looks like we got some extra seats on there and some extra passengers. The 70 was pretty much the mainstay for Oliver when they started building them in 1935, restyled them in late 37, 38, made them up through 1948. A real reliable old tractor.
Terry Carlson from Canola, South Dakota brings us this 88 road crop tractor. This was built in 1949. It's a family tractor that's been in the family for a long period of time. It looks like it served the family very well over the years.
We got a 1963 1600 Oliver built by the Woolridge family of Pella, Iowa. Grandfather 2013. The 1600 was the successor for the Oliver 880. As Wayne said a while ago, they made 16, 18, and 1900. The 1600, I believe, came out late 62. Is that right, Wayne? And yeah, they just kind of started with the new series. Then they added 3-point hitch onto them, a little different engine, different styling, cast iron grill, a lot of weight up there.
Mike French from down in Craig, Missouri, brings us this 60 Oliver, built 1941. Mike is a real Oliver tech. He bought this tractor at our summer show in Ottawa, Kansas, about 6-7 years ago. He bought a great big pile of parts on Saturday afternoon at the auction. We came to the show on the next morning. Mike had the tractor running, was driving it around, so you can tell you how technical this guy is.
Here we got a Super 44 Oliver owned by Corey Miller of Parnell, Iowa. Low production tractors in the 725, 750 range, I believe it was, right? They make cultivating tractors, but real nice little collectible tractors now.
Ken and Judy Stanford are the owners of this nice little 60 Standard that they say was built in 1942. Ken and Judy, of course, live over in Colton and been a big part of this show for many, many years. Thank you for inviting. I think Ken was the driver behind figuring our national club here to this show this year.
We got an Oliver OC96 crawler owned by Daryl before in Forsyth, South Dakota. The tractor was totally restored after it was burned in a shop. It looks like he did a tremendous job on it. OC96 crawler.
Back scratches on the back of us, so he's all ready to go. 25, 30 years ago, we were out there riding on that thing 3-4 miles an hour versus a sprayer that's going 89 miles and 40-foot boom on it now, right?
A lot of changes there. Here we got 1948 Oliver Row Crop 70 owned by Bud and Dolores Arpengarder. Sorry if that's wrong. Marion, South Dakota is a family tractor. 48 in the last year they developed those 70s. Very good tractor there.
Well, Kickers from Lennox brings us this 66 Oliver that said was built in 1950. It came from a farm sale over in northwest Iowa. And that's a belt pulley and all the complete and ready to go.
We got 1959 440 Oliver owned by Roger and Laura Trigger from Marion, South Dakota. They found the tractor in Georgia. And again, this is just the successor to the Super 44. A few minor changes from the Super 44 and updated the color and the paint scheme to go with the 770s and 880s. But again, very low production tractors, most of them in rough shape when they're found. And just cute little tractors.
Dr. Lowe's Regear also bring us this 550 Oliver tractor. It's a diesel, built 1960. Roger and Lowe's live over in Marion here in the state of South Dakota. Sounds like a nice little tractor. Got a nice big brake cleaner up there on taking good care of that engine, get the dirt out of it before it gets down in that off valve there. So thank you for bringing it.
We got a tractor from Mike Rogers of Worthington, Minnesota. A 1600 Oliver diesel and 4-bottom plow. Last tractor my father purchased in 1964. Bought tractor, sold 64-pound engine. 2011, 44 years later. So 1600 with a 4-bottom plow, a real good tractor match. The semi-mount of plow pulling a little easier. It just worked together real good. That was a steerable tail wheel plow. That was pretty much a new concept just a few years before that the Oliver came out with. The other plows were rigid frame. They'd swing around towards the fence on the way around and a lot of leverage against it. But those steerable tail wheel semi-mounted plows were a great invention.
Well, the card says this 990 Oliver with a GM engine, that 371 cubic engine is owned by Ray Drewis. And he says on the card, he says, my wife Carol may be driving it, but it looks like she's riding today. So they're from Cedar Falls, Iowa. Nice little haul to bring that tractor over. Thank you, Ben. I've known the Drewis family for a long time, so nice to have you.
We got a 1949-77 Oliver owned by Lyle Monstays of Brookings, South Dakota. Lyle drove this tractor home new from the dealer for his dad. Now that's real neat to have the tractor that long, and I really think it's got a neat radiator cap on that, just a little bit different than the regular cap. It looks real neat. Thank you for bringing that over. It's real nice that you have been and had the tractor that long kept in the family.
The Monson family brought us a lot of tractors. We have a 77 model here. That's owned by Lyle. They're from Brookings. They bought a large number of tractors. I remember from the break yesterday, we had quite a few guys, and we really appreciate people that bring these tractors in with a semi-load.
Another one of the Lyle Monstays tractors, a 1958 Super 88 diesel, Brookings, South Dakota. The Super 88 was the successor to the 88. Improvements, little styling changes, stuff. This being a later one has the red wheels. It has been key start, large battery doors, some different changes they made in the 57, 58 series.
Another one of the Lyle Monstays family is the Super 77. My card says it was built in 1958, so it has to be an early 1958 tractor because they switched over to the 770 tractor in that same year. So they hauled it down here again all the way from Brookings, and we appreciate you bringing them.
Well, here we got the 64 Oliver 770, another Monstays tractor. And the 770, like Dwayne said, it's good. This is a little later 770, being the 64. The early ones had the metal grill. This has got the plastic checkerboard grill. Got the big fenders on. The fenders are similar to what they used on the 1800s at that time. So I believe like the 1600 fenders are interchanged with the 770. But the style, and it's got the more comfortable deluxe seat on it, cushion seat, back seat rest on it. So those are some improvements they made on the later 770s.
An 880 model here, again from the Monsey family up there in Brookings. Really nice tractor. Appreciate you guys bringing it.
There we got a 5288 Oliver owned by Michael Herring, Brookings, South Dakota, with a farmhand F21 loader, flex steel seat. Probably can't see it from here, but some of the improvements they made in the 52, 53, and 54 tractors, they put disc brakes on them instead of band brakes. If you get close, you can see that it's cast iron brake cover where the band brakes are metal brake cover. It's an easier clutch. I know from my own experience, it's a little bit easier pulling clutch. They got bigger brake pedals, so they made some minor but yet real helpful improvements on the 52, 53, and 54 tractors.
880 from the Monsey family again. This was built in 1958. The 880 tractor, of course, was built in 1958. So it was late in 1961 and that was replaced by the 1600 or the 770, but it's continued to produce. So this tractor has a factory white front on it. The tractors at that period of time, the white front end started to become more popular to replace the narrow front that you saw.
We got a 1959 660 Oliver over Roger and Lois Rigger, Marion, South Dakota. 660 was fairly low production tractor. An offshoot of the Super 66. Very few changes to them other than the paint scheme. So they kind of kept up with it. Again, a wide front end 660 is kind of hard to find, and the good wide front end, the tight ones, are real hard to find when you're looking for Houston. But just nice, smooth run, little four-cylinder engine in there. A lot of the parts in the 66, 77 engine, I believe, were interchangeable. Just stick 2 more cylinders for the 77 stuff. So, Oliver kind of kept with that lot where they could interchange several of their parts.
Really nice Super 66 Oliver here owned by Donner Gear from Marion. This tractor's a 1957 production tractor. They made a lot of changes in 1957. big battery comes over, added the tachometer to it, stamped all over in the fender with a T-start rather than a foot start tractor. And so they made a lot of improvements on these tractors over the years. And so this is the last year of production of the Super 66. I guess maybe they were built for 58 because they were waited until 59 for the 660.
We got a 1957 Super 44 owned by Don Greggard in Marion, South Dakota. Again, we feel fortunate to have as rare as these Super 44s are. We've had several of them at the show here and stuff. And like I say, considering a lot of them were in tough shape, they brought them back to life and look real nice.
77 diesel all over here. Notice the single front wheel on this tractor. These tractors with a single front wheel, there was an option, of course, were built from sugar beet country because they planted sugar beets in 22-inch rows. So if you see a tractor with a single front wheel, it always has a long rear axle in it because they wanted to straddle 4 rows of those sugar beets, as they call it.
Here we got 1750 Special, 1968, owned by Dwayne Brand from Galva, Iowa. You see a little difference in the color. The Special was a little cheaper version. It had the 3-point hitch arms, did not have the latch balls over the center. I believe that the key standard was only 1 hydraulic valve. I don't believe they had the 2 V-shift in them. So there was those things that they made to make a little bit lower price tractor. First one that you can cut out and field options. Again, I mentioned some of the front end weights. That has the stack weights and then the slab weight bolted to the front. Again, there, look how low production and make a whole lot of space.
Here we have Mr. Paul driveline himself, Mike Paulson. This tractor was purchased by Mike Grandma in 1836, built in 1928. So Mike said, hey, this thing's got some horsepower. I can pull a 3-bottom power. So Mike, let's see if you drop on the ground this afternoon and see if it'll work.
We got a 1929, 1836 Hart-Parr from Joe Allen on our naked Kansas. Again, this original tractor, can you believe that the age of a tractor like that, how well it's running and how well it's operating? It just shows how durable those are made. Again, 18 horsepower on the drawbar, 36 horsepower on the belt.
This is Mr. Don Hoover from Webb, Iowa. Don has a 1224, which is almost a Hart-Parr tractor. He's pulling a 24-hour stationary engine. Don says he found this in an old road and had a completely restored in 2003. You mentioned earlier that our next year's summer show will be over in Elbert City, and Don is our driver. He's the one that's in charge of that show. So if you want some information on the show, talk to Don.
Now here we got a 1961 Oliver 880 road roller tractor on the western corridor out of Hart-Parr, Iowa. Looks like that's west driving. Again, that road roller, the different companies made different brands of rollers, and they buy these Oliver engine over axle power units and put them in. And again, that also would have the reverse and torque drive, I believe, does the west, where you just pull the lever and back it up. And as you would do that, the farther you push the lever, I believe, the more it opens the throttle. Again, very useful outfit that you wouldn't think was made from an Oliver, but it is.
Big 80 Oliver, built in 1962 here. This comes to us from west of Corridora over at Hart-Parr, Iowa. Got a nice Oliver wagon behind it. Early on, Oliver built their own wagons in our Shelbyville, Illinois plant. And then later on, they purchased the wagons from the electric wheel company over there in Quincy, Illinois. So I believe this is one of the electric wheel versions that we have here. So West has a nice 880 standard there, like I said, built in 1962.
And here we got another 1957 Oliver Super 44 by Lynn Kruger of Lennox, South Dakota, restored by Lynn. Real nice job with it. Again, I'm surprised at the low production numbers, how many of those that we've got at the show. Really appreciate it. I know they were featuring the 50 series tractors here, but we've got a nice selection of everything. We really can't thank everybody enough for all the work they did getting them here.
Super 55 from 1956. Another one of Lynn Kruger's families from down in Lennox. restored by wind. You can see the kind of work this guy does. They're all very well finely restored and very, very presentable.
I don't believe we have a card for this one, but it looks like an Oliver Super 66, white front end on it, and he's really spreading it today. He's got nice Oliver restored manure spreader there. I know those were a very popular spreader back in the 50s era. We had a neighbor that had one who used it quite a bit. It's nice to see some implements because these tractors actually had to do something, and it's nice to see some of these implements that show just what they would do in the era implement to going with the tractor.
Bill, I can see you never worked for a company. What did you call that machine? Us people that worked for the machine for the company were instructed to call that a livestock waste handling machine. It wasn't a manure spreader or the S-word spreader. A nice 88 standard here from 1953. This is Kim Rookerty from Willow Springs, South Dakota. On the Model 38 grain drill. This is a grain drill. Very, very accurate, very, very popular drill that was built for a long period of time. This is the yellow one. They were painted red and green also, so you'll find them in 3 different colors.
Here we got an Oliver 88 road crosser. Owned by Kim working thing in Willow Lake, South Dakota. And he's got a, actually within a horse drawn, stuck a farm mower on the back of it. I know, I always heard the old fellas talk driving the horse was the worst thing they could get into would be driving one of those mowers with a team of horses. You'll call a bumblebee's nest in the hayfield. It's with more than one mower going up runaway horses.
A 1950s Model 77 here from Tim Waltz in Marston, South Dakota. This one here has been finally restored. Looks very, very good. Very, very presentable. Thank you for bringing that.
Here we got him in a 1950 88 Oliver owned by Tim Waltz of Hart-Parr, South Dakota. White front end on the tractor. And again, this tractor, a little closer look, you can see probably we have the metal brake covered, the handbrake tractor, some of the changes they made on the later, which I talked about a while ago. Different style of seat, it's the right line seat, but the older suspension style seat, the 52, that was one of the changes they made. The different rubber bushings in them, they would seat suspension, easier adjustable. Just some of the updates that they made on the little changes. You can see the earlier ones and the later ones here.
Nice 88, pulling a hay rake behind it. This is Tim Waltz from Clarkston. The tractor was built in 1962. These rakes were very popular. This is a 107 rake. The later one was a 207. Take a look at the front axle on that tractor. That's the front axle. Factory front axle, really cast center piece. They built them that way for a while and then changed to tubular front axles.
Oh, here we got another little Oliver crawler coming. Oliver OC3, owned by a 1940 model, owned by Elmer Waltz of Madison, South Dakota. Oliver bought the Cleveland Tractor Company out in 1944, and they continued making crawlers up through the early 60s. All the old clean track crawlers had some new and innovative features on them. Very good crawlers.
I don't think this tractor came out until about the 1955 period of time. Also, Elmer Walls of Clarkston, South Dakota, got a nice 2-bottle plow mounted on the back of it. This is the original 2-bottle plow that they built for the 3.8 tractor. 2-bottle plow all day long for that. Very, very well working together.
We got a 1955 Oliver 60 over Elmer Waltz of Madison, South Dakota. They've also got the front mount 2-rope elevator on it. You notice there's levers for lifting the elevator, but there's also a power lift unit right underneath the steering wheel that you would trip a lever with your foot, and the shaft and arm would make a half a circle and drop the elevator down. You trip it when you get to the end of the field, and hit the half circle, raise the elevator back up. The levers would just simply for helping it tried to lift those levers at the end of a field, trying to lift two levers at once while you're steering. And that would get awful old all day long. So the power lifts is a great feature on those.
From 1950, we have a Model 66 Oliver tractor here. This is an Elmer Waltz tractor from Parksville, South Dakota. Gas tractor as it goes by because you can always identify those. If it's a diesel, it's got the voltage and the two side panels on the engine covers there.
Another Elmer Waltz tractor, 77 Oliver, Parksville, South Dakota. Looks like that tractor's for sale. If anybody's interested, it's got a name and phone number on the side. Looks to be a nice tractor for someone. Got the belt pulley on it, got the hydraulics in it, so it'd be something worth checking out if you're looking for something like that.
Model 70 from 1942. This is Rick Waltz from Madison, South Dakota. Part of the Waltz family. Bought a lot of nice tractors here along with a lot of other people. We thank everybody that brought one today.
We got a 1973 Oliver 1755 with a west and north loader. Again, Elmer Waltz, Parksville, South Dakota. If you look at the capacity on that loader bucket, you can see that tractor had to be good and rugged to handle that. A real heavy loader. Made a nice combination of the 7055. You had a heavy enough tractor to be good weight on the rear end for traction. Had good power there. It's very useful working outfit.
Next up, we have a Model 70 Standard here from Larry Boswell down in Helena, Nebraska. The tractor, take a look at those rear fenders on those tractors. Those are what we commonly refer to as dovetail fenders. Larry, how much body work did you have to do on them? Because about every one of them I saw them backed into something. And the back of those fenders were caved in. So I hope you found them nicely, but it didn't need a lot of work.
We've got a 1969 Oliver 1950T on a Mike and Dave cow from Huxley, Iowa. It was built in October 69, serial number 218411. It's got a single airplaner in 1950T. Good your fuel tanks with it there. Mike's ready for a long day's work.
Still, those airplaners come from the Donaldson Company up here in Minneapolis, and the early 1950Ts is we have the one we got coming up there that's driven by Blaine Boley. They had two air cleaners on them, and then when we came out with the 2150 tractors with a bigger 478 engine, they needed a bigger air cleaner, so Donaldson came out with a big air cleaner, and we started using one of those tractors. This 1950T was built in 1967. It's owned by Blaine and Christy Boley over in Walcott, Iowa, on the Mississippi River, so they had all this tractor. And I think talking to these guys, I think it was 4 or 5 tires on the trailer from here to there. That's all right. Okay, 3, so that's enough. 3's enough.
Yep, that kind of takes the profit and the pride of pulling tractors. I've done that myself with all the tires. Here we got 1957 Oliver Super 77 owned by Vernon Howerson of Garrison, South Dakota, and restored by Vernon. Red wheel tractor, white front end, real nice tractor again there.
Standard coming up there. Again, as I said, it's South Bend plant number 2. Sorry we don't have a card on this plant. Apparently it's a late register. Can't identify the owner or where it's from. But again, thank you for bringing the tractor anyway.
Here comes Larry and Sandy Harson's tractor, 1942 Oliver 60. They're from Estoril, Iowa. Larry has handled a lot of tractors, some parts, farms, and was a mechanic for years. Okay. Larry has got a wealth of knowledge if you got any problems with the Olivers. He's helped out a lot of people. We really appreciate it. Known Larry for several years. So thanks, Larry, for all that you've done for us.
A red one in here coming through a Canadian-built car-shop tractor. This one is owned by Fran Brins from Madison, South Dakota. This is a Model 40, which is the bigger one of the two. Of course, these tractors were marketed here in the U.S. by
Madison, South Dakota with a 265 white mechanical front wheel drive. He didn't have a card yesterday, but he's got one for me today, so I appreciate that. He's got a nice 4-bottom plow behind it. He's got his co-driver on there with him. And it looks like he's got a bracket on the front end. More than that, and also has the loader he can put on there. So it's a real handy working tractor. Got the roll guard on it, canopy roof. This roll guard came out and great safety features for keep the tractors from rolling on. Looks like that's the end of our Oliver parade. We hope that we'll give you folks some information. We sure thank everybody that took time to bring the tractors, the expense of it, run them through the parade. It helps out so a lot of people can really see what we've got here. So thanks again to the club for inviting us up here as a National Oliver Club. We really appreciate it. Thank you, folks.
For anybody interested, we will be running the 50 stationary on the south side of the open B shed in about 10 minutes.
Thank you, gentlemen. We got through this one. That's about an hour's worth.
Oh, the glare.
You were talking.
Who are we looking at?
Who's going first?
Look in the middle. Orange flag. Orange flag. Got it. I'll be looking up. Drew.
Quit moving that back and forth.
Oh, it's easy. You have sunglasses on. You're fine.
Hang on, everybody. Don't move. Natalie, look at
Somebody call PSF flag.
There, my eyes are closed. Boy, it takes a long time to pull that trigger.
He's got to pull it once for each one, for each person in the picture.
That thing getting hot yet for all the pictures?
We didn't kill it to put it in here. So we got started, trying to start it in here. That's what I was putting her in here so I can move it. Start pretty good though. looking at the cell over there. The same one that runs the forward and back also runs the forward. Yeah, if you got a hot bag, that makes a bag. Are you ready? Yeah. I'll start swatting. Because I don't want to pull it. Come on. Well, we've had that problem with that.